Hey everyone, it's the Wheel of Beatles.
Is that a Liverpool accent or was that a?
It was Welsh, I think.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so we are ready to do this finally after all the planning and the stops and starts. Welcome back, Mike Portnoy, everybody, to the festivities.
Hey.
Good to have you back, man.
Who is that? Who is that?
Applause.
Is that? Oh,
Sorry about that. Yes.
Paul, George, or Ringo? Who is that right there?
Paul.
Oh.
George. I like the George.
Did you ever hear Louis C.K. impression where he does all four Beatles?
Yeah,
he's great. That's great.
There's one where they talk about how they're in different parts of the mouth. Is that his? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. I'm not that good.
We also have Geoff and Kyle back joining us for a very special Wheel of Rock episode. We're going to do the Beatles. We've been talking about doing this one for a long time. And then, Mike's schedule is crazy these days. I figured we had like this week to do it or we lose you for a year, right? So it's sort of like we had to squeeze it in basically.
I feel like the Stream Theater Tour has been going, it has been going for 6 months or whatever. And we still have a year to go. It's going till May of next year. We're going to end in Europe with the Parasomnia leg over there. So this is it's a long run, but
wow.
And we're about to start a pretty long run. We're doing 2 months straight in Europe. We have a little break in August, but I'm doing John's camp, and then we have Parasomnia rehearsals in August, and then September and October in the States, kicking off the Parasomnia tour. So it's full throttle. It's definitely
that's amazing, man. Congrats on the success of it. It's been amazing. We had a chance to see some of the shows, and they were awesome. And you guys just announced the North American dates for September through, I guess, October, November, whatever it is. Yeah. I know you can't give away anything, but that's just for people that haven't been paying attention. You're playing the whole Parasomnia album and then some other songs, I guess. That's sort of the plan.
That'll be the tour starting in September. Yeah, but we're about to leave in a few days for Europe, and we'll be there all June and July doing a mixture of a lot of the metal festivals and then a bunch of our own headlining shows, which are still kind of rounding out the 40th anniversary celebration. There's still some markets we haven't gotten to yet, like Greece and Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey. So we're going to still do the 40th anniversary show for them. And I added a lot of new songs into rotation as well. So even if you saw a 40th anniversary show last fall, you're going to get a whole new set list this summer as well. So yeah, it's exciting times. Yeah, the song list is slowly growing. The shows will start to become a little bit less predictable from night to night at this point. A lot of new stuff in rotation.
And Pompeii as well.
Yes. Oh, that's
very
huge,
popular,
huge bucket list gig. We're going to actually be playing the hallowed ground that Pink Floyd filmed live at Pompeii at 50 something years ago. So that's going to be incredibly special.
Shirt on or off?
Well, I think Nick kept his shirt on at Pompeii. He had that black tank top. So I'm going to have to look for a replica of that tank top. But Gilmore was shirtless. I think Rick and Dave were both
Rick
shirtless.
and David. Yeah.
So Jordan and John will have to be shirtless at Pompeii. Yeah.
I feel like that's Eric in a band, to be.
And then we're gonna have to get a big giant gong for John Mayung to hit. But that's when we do the Wheel of Pink. Have you done a Wheel of Pink Floyd yet?
We did.
You did. Okay.
We did.
That was with Jordan.
It was with Jordan.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
He played snare drum on the wall, sort of.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Let's keep talking about the Beatles. But yeah, it's going to be Pompeii is going to be incredible. And then we're doing a 2-night stand in Plovdiv, where Sons of Apollo filmed a live Blu-ray many years ago. Beautiful, beautiful venue. We're going to do 2 nights there, 2 completely different sets. We're also, the last show on the leg is an amphitheater in France, in Orange, France. And that's the venue that's on the cover of Once in a Lifetime. The head.
Oh, right.
So we're playing that actual venue.
Wow.
As well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fun, man. That's exciting. Looking forward to seeing the show. And you guys are coming to Florida, Orlando. So we'll have a chance to see that and not have to fly, which is great, at least for me. Yeah. So while we were talking, we wanted to save this story, but Geoff, Neal right now, who wasn't able to join us because he's actually doing a little run up in Europe. We did invite him for this, but he's playing some shows. You want to talk about a special gig, Geoff, that you were going to mention?
Yeah, well, Neil had a bit of a gap in his schedule between some shows in Sweden and then the Resonance Band flying in to do the tour. And we decided to go up to Liverpool, and my friend Martin rather cheekily sent the Cavern Club an email saying, I've got someone who's a big Beatles fan, can he play? And they said, yep. So this day next week we have a slot at the Cavern Club.
I'm jealous.
So that'll be good fun. And we're gonna we are gonna do the kind of the tours and the houses and all that kind of stuff while we're up there. So that'll be good fun.
That's
Go
amazing.
see Eleanor Rigby's gravestone. I hope.
Yeah.
So
that's a bucket list gig for me too. I've not only have I not played the Cavern Club, I've never even visited it. So
wow,
yeah,
okay.
A bucket list gig for me would be Yellow Matter Custard at the Cavern Club someday. That would be
that would be amazing.
A dream come true. So we'll see.
Well, John went solo and did it first.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's doing it with the Plastic One band.
That was actually a really good joke. If you didn't pick up on it, Colin on drums. We want Pete. One. Yeah.
So, this is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I was trying to do this a little bit myself, ranking these albums, and you sort of a little bit think it's kind of obvious, but all the albums are so good, it really isn't. I mean, I think a couple are easy for me, but then it gets a little tricky. So we'll see how this works out. But let's go ahead and bring up the wheel.
Right.
Where's my image?
Bring up the wheel.
There it is.
You should clarify what's in there because there's a couple of.
Yeah, so we were trying to figure it out because there's actually 13 studio albums. Went with the UK versions, but because we try to keep to a number where it works spin wise and everything, we agreed on putting in the past masters albums separate, volume 1, volume 2, as they were sort of originally released, or early on. Before now, it's like a compilation, and that'll give us 15 albums, and then we'll have a wild card in there. So we each get 4 spins, and I think that kind of works out. So as always, our guest Mike, you'll have the closing spin. I guess why don't we do it different? Kyle, you go first,
okay,
and then we'll go Geoff, me, and Mike, and we'll let you have the honors of the very first spin. Shall we get going?
Yeah, that is an honor, high honor. Is it fair to say that the Beatles are everyone's favorite band? Is that a tacky thing to ask?
Numero uno for me.
It's my favorite.
Look,
interesting one for me to receive.
I wanted that one.
Magical Mystery Tour. To answer your question, it's sort of like a default favorite band. I feel like, you know what I mean? It's not the band I'm always listening to, but I think it's just always there. Every time you listen to an album, at least for me, every time I'm blown away that they wrote or did this stuff. It's sort of, I mean, they created the blueprint for everything anyone knows about rock music. So it just goes without saying, I feel like.
By the way, I have to mention, I really am happy that the listing there is chronological. It makes me crazy when you guys do a specific band, but it's not in chronological order. So I'm happy to see that this one is. Thank you.
I did create this and made sure it was in chronological order. So, and actually,
only Kyle had to do it.
Past Masters 2 should have been black, at least in my mind, for whatever it's worth. But it's
although Magic, although the one we've just picked, technically.
Well, Magical Mystery Tour wasn't originally released in England. It was an American-only release, correct?
It was an EP.
Or is it the other way? Yeah.
No, it was an EP.
But I'm glad that, like, when they finally remastered everything and reissued everything on CD, this became the official catalog. But for us in America, Geoff, you probably can't relate, but for us in America, and Neal and I talk about this all the time, we grew up on Meet the Beatles, Beatles' second album, Beatles 65, Beatles 6, Yesterday and Today. I mean, they had all these American releases, but that was like what we grew up with in the 70s. And then in the 80s, once these things came out on CD, this kind of became the official catalog here.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Well,
okay, so you have the floor, Kyle. It's a Magical Mystery Tour.
I do it, and to be clear, I'm judging the full LP, not the movie or the double EP that was released. And I think in that context, like as a kid that grew up and wasn't aware of when it came out and all that, I did not obviously grow up in Great Britain. This is an awesome album, and for me, this is tough because I have it kind of at that A-B sort of line. And just because I got it and it's the first one, and I want to make you guys have to push it down if you don't like it, I'm going to put it in A. And I'm putting it in A because I think when you actually look at the track listing and you read it, I think it is fabulous. And I know
it's amazing.
It's offending Geoff so much. But I love the obvious songs that are like kind of the hits, Magical Mystery Tour, sure, I'm Walrus, sure. But I love the Fool on the Hill. I love Your Mother Should Know. It's sort of a classic Paul kind of granny song a little bit, but I love it. And then the singles that are side two are excellent. I mean, I know they were released as singles and they're put on this later, but Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, those two alone, All You Need Is Love. Like, I don't know. I mean, it goes without saying a little bit for those of us that know every song that's on these albums, but it's a masterwork. And I think it sits right in the middle of that psychedelic period in such a way that I just love it. It's just amazing. So
I'm right with you. I had it at A as well.
Oh,
even though it's not a traditional album, and Geoff is rolling his eyes. If you, like you said, Kyle, if you look at the track listing, I mean, right there for Strawberry Fields and I'm the Walrus alone, that's A tier. Those two are masterpieces, sonic masterpieces. And Magical Mystery Tour, the title track, Penny Lane. I mean, this is an amazing album, and for me, it's in the sweet spot of the psychedelia, because this was really the follow up to Sgt. Pepper. You know, when you look at the official albums, they next did the White Album, which was very stripped away and different from the psychedelia of Sgt. Pepper. But to me, this is kind of like Sgt. Pepper's little brother. You know, it really kind of goes hand in hand with, you know, it's 67. Yeah. It's the same year, same period, same kind of recording techniques are just like, you know, in full bloom. And I agree with you, even though it's not a quote unquote real album, I think it definitely belongs in A.
I just love that it's upsetting Geoff. So I'm
Geoff, where would you put it?
On the first spin. Yeah. So, I mean, I had it further down, and it's not because of the quality of the material, but we haven't really mentioned Flying or Blue Jay.
Flying Colors intro tape.
It's the only song that's credited to all four members flying. So there is that.
Yeah. And it's an instrumental that you could sing along to. How many songs can you say that about?
Yeah, I just
we're not you.
I think for me, you know, any album that you take and put, you know, Strawberry Fields and Penny Lane and All You Need Is Love onto, you know, is gonna be a great album.
And I'm the Walrus. Come on.
Okay, no, yeah, but if you take the EP, to me the EP is 50-50, because the EP's Magical Mystery Tour, Walrus, Fool in the Hill, and for me then Your Mother Should Know, Blue Jay Way, and Flying are, you know, our second tier Beatles songs.
Fair enough. I still like Blue Jay Way though, even though it's not top tier. I still have a soft spot for it.
Yeah. So for me, it would be in the bottom half on consistency alone.
I could see this ending up in B after all it's said and done. It's hard to know yet what's going to be the other albums in A, but it's right there for me, Kyle.
I just couldn't envisage it being a top 6 Beatles album, but there you go.
Well, I just wanted to champion it because it always gets poo-pooed on.
It's great.
I'm with you.
It's like 11 or 10 on a lot of lists. I don't comprehend that, but whatever.
No, the songs on it are iconic. I mean, masterpieces.
Yeah.
Okay.
An album with tracks from Saint Anger and Strawberry Fields would be A tier for me. Sorry, it's a little Metallica throwback.
All right, Geoff. Oh, what do we got?
Is that
heavens.
Rubber Soul.
This one too.
Rubber Soul. Okay. So, I mean, yeah. You said, but these are all great albums, right? So you can't start.
By the way, before you go, we should clarify, just for anybody wondering. Again, we have limits on the rows. Some people may be watching this just for the first time, watching what we do. There's limits on the rows when we do this, so we have 3 per row. once a row is full, we can move albums up and down. So if you're wondering, yes, we would probably put all of these in S or A, but albums will end up in C or D. That's just how this is going to work out. So sorry, Geoff, go ahead.
No, I mean, to me, it's like this album is jam packed with classics, right?
Sure.
And I suppose it's sort of the transition that they're starting to write songs with a bit more purpose behind them, But again, Drive My Car, Michelle, In My Life, Nowhere Man, absolute top tier Beatles songs, great George songs. Think for Yourself, I really like. What Goes On, good fun Ringo track. If I Needed Someone, yep, Birdsey kind of type influence, great songs. And then you have classics of a different type, Norwegian Wood, where the sitar starts to appear, and that's something that kind of flows through everything that happens after that. The soul-y stuff, You Won't See Me. The Word is one of my favorite Beatle tracks. Absolutely love it. And that kind of it's nearly like a one chord song with discord on it. It's clever. It's interesting. And that's why we said about, is it your favorite band? For me, they're definitely the most interesting band. For me, this is easily one of the top 2 tiers. I have it in A.
Yeah. Same. So
I feel
far,
like every album we're going to say that.
Yeah.
Also same. It started in S tier because I just love it. I adore it. My mom had a copy of it, and it was like probably the first Beatles album that I really like. It sounds terrible, like worshipped, just listen to it over and over and over and over. And listening back in the context of everything else, there's 3 albums that I feel like have to be at the very top. This would be grafted in the 4th position for me. I just absolutely love it. And it's kind of recording wise, it's a little bit of a sloppy record in some ways, but I think it gives it character, and I like that aspect. And I like that it's eminently singable, and I like that it sort of sits in that sort of Bob Dylan folk inspired space that's really unique to this album alone. So
one of the weird aspects I love about this album is Ringo's percussion work. I love that every song has got shakers or tambourines, and they're panned and
so loud.
This was also the last. Listen to Wait. I love the tambourine on Wait, and then the shaker comes in so loud. But this was the last one to have a different track listing for America. Like the version I grew up with opens with "I've Just Seen a Face."
Yeah, I have that one. It's great.
Yeah, that was
really
the American
weird.
version.
Yeah,
but the one that's now the normal one, it opens with "Drive My Car." But yeah, this was the last one to have a different track listing for America. But yeah, I mean. Every song on here is classic, and
really
I
when they start exploring other things, like Geoff, you're saying, other instruments and sort of different songwriting, it's just great. Wonderful album, love it. Okay,
is the American one not shorter? Of Revolver,
I don't know the exact time.
No,
sorry, we'll get to
actually.
it.
I have it right here. Actually, the American version is 30 minutes.
Sorry, I meant the American. I thought the Revolver was different as well. But we'll get to it. Don't worry.
Yeah, the British is longer.
It's
34.
Let's see.
Yeah. I actually have all the American versions loaded into my iTunes as well.
Me too.
And stereo and
mono.
Yeah.
All right, I'm up.
Deluxe,
a hard day. I got A Hard Day's Night.
Oh man, nice.
Another great one with accompanied movie. Man, this is a tough one. This is another great album with I got to remember some of the songs on here so I don't forget. But I mean, I should have known better. And I Love Her, which is amazing. If I Fell, just some masterpieces on here. I don't think, knowing what else is out there, that this is really an A. But again, I love it. I'm going to put this one in B, I think.
Spot on. So far, 3 for 3 are exactly as I have them.
Same.
Yeah.
So for me, it's an A.
Wow.
Okay.
It's the only album that only has Lennon and McCartney songs on it. And wow. I think it's so tied to the movie, and just things I love. But it was funny. I know I have this book that's called Songwriting Secrets of the Beatles, right? And this section here, which is about 35 pages, if you can see it, That is a chapter on the first chord of
Oh, wow.
Hard Day's Night.
Wow.
It's 35 pages of. Oh, you can't see it though.
Yeah, that's
35 pages on one chord.
That opening chord is famously like dissected at this point. I love that this is such a John heavy album, especially on the back end. Like I'll be back. You can't do that when I get home. Anytime at all. I mean, those are all such great
things
songs.
Things We Said Today is such a
that was
classic.
definitely more Paul, but yeah, all these songs are amazing. But I think John was really firing on all cylinders. There's certain albums like we'll talk about later, like like Let It Be or whatever. John was kind of checked out at that point, but there are certain ones where certain members are way more hands-on and way more fruitful, and this was definitely a big album for John's contributions. So many great songs. So
his vocal on Anytime at All is just, it's sort of unfettered John at his best, and it's sort of like the last, in some sense, like the last version of this part of the Beatles. I guess Beatles for Sale kind of gets into the same space, but I just love John with his youthful voice when he's still like not innocent, but still has that kind of quality. So
yeah.
But even like a song like And I Love Her, which is just so brilliant and so simple, I just can't think of another band that could write something like that. Such an amazing song.
I think like the Butthole Surfers probably, but yeah.
All right, Mike.
Or Ween. All right, who's up? Who is it?
Mike.
Oh,
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The guest always.
Do you want another spin?
No. Fair is fair. I'll tell you what. It's funny.
Yellow Submarine.
It's funny that I'm getting this because one of my comedic heroes is Tim Heidecker, and I just did his show a few days ago. But he and I connected and kind of we connected over a mutual love for the Beatles. And during the pandemic, he did a series on his Patreon where they went through every Beatles album and did a whole episode about each album. And I got invited on, which was so cool. But of course, this was the album I got invited on for. And now here we go. First spin. So look, as you've already said, I mean, everything the Beatles made is great, but something's got to go in D. And unfortunately for me, this has to go into D. But that's not to say it doesn't have its merits. I mean, first of all, it's only half an album. It's one side of Beatles songs. The second side is old George Martin orchestral kind of scoring for the movie Yellow Submarine. So really, you're only talking 5 or 6 songs on side A, half of which I'm not the biggest fan of. Yellow Submarine, All Together Now, All You Need Is Love. Those 3 are not my favorites of all time. In fact, All Together Now was very kind of like childhood, one of those Paul kind of child songs. But anyway, I think the stuff that is in here, George has 2 great ones. It's All Too Much and Only a Northern Song. I love both of those songs, 2 of my favorites. And for that alone, this album is worth it. And Only a Northern Song, I think, was recorded the day I was born, actually, I believe, which was the same day. It was the very last thing done on the Sgt. Pepper sessions, but we could talk about that later. But yeah, unfortunately, something's got to go in D. And because this only has a handful of, new original Beatles songs on it, it's by default, it's got to go in D.
And Hey Bulldog.
Hey Bulldog's a good one.
Which another one that kind of got sort of rehabilitated, in recent years. I think it was probably a bit under the radar. Really good song.
Yeah, for me, Hey Bulldog, Only Northern Song, All Too Much. Three great favorites on this one.
I like Yellow Submarine. It's one of those ones for kids in a sense. There is a lot of that on this album, but this is assuredly a D tier. It begs this question though, because we brought up George Martin. Who is everyone's 5th Beatle selection? Because mine is assuredly Sir George Martin. I don't think there's really any argument to the contrary.
I think it has to be.
Yeah.
But people argue it differently.
Well, some people say Billy Preston. Some people say, Yoko Ono. Some people say Pete Best, or Stu Sutcliffe. But yeah, George Martin. I mean, he was such a hugely important part to their creativity and the production of these albums. I mean, he was a big part of them changing the game, really.
Yeah. He was there from the start to the end and right the way through, and they stuck with him even right through to the anthology days and some of that stuff where they go back and listen to the multi-tracks and stuff like that. You can just see there's a link to him that nobody else really had.
Well,
look, one more comment on Yellow Submarine. I'm sorry, but as much as you can poo-poo the album itself and
movie,
I think the movie and the imagery that goes along with everything having to do with Yellow Submarine is some of my favorite imagery that has to do with the Beatles. In fact, my leg is my Beatles tattoo on my leg is all Yellow Submarine imagery because it was just so cool and psychedelic. And when you see the movie, you're getting so much more than just these songs. You're getting a lot of Sgt. Pepper stuff. You're getting stuff from Rubber Soul. So in fact, there's a Yellow Submarine song book or song track or something that came out when the movie was reissued. That to me is a great listen. Like I would definitely rate that way higher than this. But if we're going by the official catalog, you got to go by this. But the Yellow Submarine songbook, which had remixes as well of a lot of that stuff, and it's taking Magical Mystery Tour stuff, Submarine, so it's putting it all in one giant psychedelic melting pot. So that's a great listen. I highly recommended that one.
Definitely.
I haven't seen the movie in decades. I should go watch it again.
It's still fun. I still love it.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle.
All right. I keep making my oldest son watch and listen to all this stuff, and I keep trying to teach him, and he doesn't. He doesn't appreciate it at all.
All right. Here's an interesting one. I wonder this would be good. Revolver.
It'll be good if you agree with me. It will be bad if you don't. So here's the thing. Imagine that, and that wasn't a John Lennon reference, but it works. Imagine that every list you ever look at of the Beatles ranks Revolver as number 1 or number 2 or number 3, and you, being me, don't really see it like that. I've never reacted to it on that level. I'm not Pitchfork, it turns out. They love it. But as I listen to it track by track and compare it against all the other albums that are in the mix of this, I don't see it as number 1 or 2 or 3. And in fact, I have it even further below that. And it's not to say that I don't love the album. And I actually thought the little, remaster, the super deluxe they did of it opened up some kind of cool sounds. And I appreciated it maybe a little bit more than before. And yes, there are incredible songs on it. But for me, when I compare it against all this, once we add in past masters and some of the other stuff, I've got it in B tier.
Whoa!
I know.
Wow.
I know. Sorry to lose the
I'm gonna say, Kyle, that I agree with you. Actually,
wow.
Here's my argument. Go ahead. No, you go ahead because you're agreeing with me.
Well, there was this shifts in the early 2000s. I don't know where these lists started to come out, where all of a sudden this was the number 1 album of all time, where it was really confusing me. I was like, what, did they forget about Sgt. Pepper's and Abbey Road and this, that, and the other thing? It's really weird. And it was sort of that it's cooler to like this one because it's not the obvious choice type thing. It's a great album by any measure. And for most bands, it's their best album. But for me, compared to some of those other albums, like I mentioned, it's just okay. Outside of like Eleanor Rigby and maybe Tomorrow Never Knows, which is really cool. And there's a few other ones that are just like really great. I think a lot of stuff, even on Rubber Soul, is sort of better versions of it. So yeah, I sort of agree. It's not a top 5 for me.
I could go track by track on all that. So all the 6 or 7 albums that I have ranked above it, and it loses out. So I have to try to be as objective as I can be. I don't care like what other people think about how it should be ranked or historically its value necessarily. They're all historically relevant and hugely influential. I don't understand it. Maybe I'm reacting a little bit to always being ranked number 1. But for me, it's B. Sorry.
I personally, I would have to have it in A. I can't picture a world where this isn't in the top 6 Beatles albums. That's just, I can't possibly see that. But I understand where you're coming. And like Roy said, looking at what still is there, and you could only put 3 in S, I would say this would be my number 4, at least today. My list of favorite Beatles albums changes constantly, and there are days where I'll say, you know what, Revolver's my favorite. But I think today, it would be an A tier, and it would be the top of the A. But to me, this was the bridge that went from Rubber Soul to Sgt. Pepper. It's got the songs of Rubber Soul, but it's just starting to dip their feet into the experimentation of Pepper. So this is a nice kind of bridge between those two. It reminds me of like if you talk about Radiohead, like OK Computer is their Sgt. Pepper, but right before that they made an album called The Bends, which was just these great alternative songs. And to me, like this is what Revolver is. It's kind of setting up that next leap. And this was the last of, the great singer-songwriter songs. But yeah, and I love the cover. Klaus Worman's illustration on the cover is so iconic. It's incredible. I actually have upstairs a hand-drawn sign by Klaus Worman. I think you got one too, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah, like one of the Revolver artwork in progress that Klaus Worman had on his website for a while, which is
that's cool.
But it's such iconic artwork.
Okay, so here's why you're all wrong.
Are you S tier on it?
He's
I'm totally S tier on it, and it's not because of being alternative. Rubber Soul ends with, run for your life. Run for your life if you can. Hide your head in the sand. The first track that they started on Revolver was Tomorrow Never Knows. And I mean, this album is it's not a bridge. It's a leap. It's a seismic leap from Rubber Soul into this. To me, this album just is flooded with inventiveness for things that they did the first time. It's bringing Indian music into, Norwegian Wood had a sitar on it, but this is McCartney's Taxman guitar solo. That's kind of Indian type sounding stuff. Track 2, Eleanor Rigby, it's the Beatles and a string quartet. What? And to me,
it's Paul and a string quartet.
Well, Paul and the string quartet,
yeah, it's not. That's literally just one Beatle.
And Pepper builds on this, but there's so much in the whole way through. John's songs are just, amazing again.
And you can sing. I'm only sleeping. I mean,
yeah, Here, There, and Everywhere, a standard, McCartney writes a standard that any singer in the world, would want to cover. You've got Love You Too, which I prefer to Within You and Without You in terms of George's Indian thing. Yeah, I mean, the only thing really that I think is anywhere near a weaker track on it is probably Good Day Sunshine, which I'm not that fussed on. But again, it's got stuff. So to me, it's a definite S tier.
You're wrong, as usual.
And Magical Mystery Tour being above it just
feels so right, doesn't it?
Blows my mind.
I'm just calling it. I'm with Kyle. I'm just calling it like we're calling it like we see it. Like Penny Lane, I'm the Walrus, Strawberry Fields are all better than anything on Revolver to me.
All this, I mean, Eleanor Rigby notwithstanding, brilliant track. George Martin.
Okay, and that's where I'm not ranking it on. It's got 3 iconic songs on it. I don't put something in a tier because it's got I Am the Walrus on it.
I see both arguments.
Then what are we doing?
There was
that's the wheel.
It was a pop culture turning point, like Tomorrow Never Knows. There was a scene. I loved the show Mad Men with John Hamm. I watched that whole series, and there was that whole show went through the 60s. It started in like 61, it ends like in 69. So you see the entire 60s throughout the duration of this show. And there was, when the show was around the 66 period, there was the episode ended with, Don Draper's wife or fiance at the time was like a pot smoking hippie. And he was a straight-laced, corporate guy that would only drink alcohol. And he dropped the needle on Revolver and he heard Tomorrow Never Knows. And it was just like, suddenly, okay, there is the shift. That is where the pop culture shifted to psychedelia right there and then. And like, even though Tomorrow Never Knows was the first song they wrote and recorded, it's what closes the album. And it's basically setting you up to usher in what's to come with the Summer of Love in 67. And I thought like Mad Men just nailed it on the head with the way it was like such a metaphor with one era bringing in the next.
Well, Don didn't like it, so call me Don Draper.
Right, exactly.
I'm happy to be Don.
In fact, he starts it and then he picks up the needle and it was like, I don't get it, you know.
It's like, what's this?
Well, prepare for the comments right about now, Kyle.
Oh, I welcome it. I love it. I love it. Somebody will disagree with me. Although
listen, nothing will top Nick DiVirgilio putting Close to the Edge in C.
Did he really?
Or in D? Was it C? Was in C? It was
Kyle
crazy.
Graves putting Slayer in D.
Yeah.
No, but
Kyle
Kyle
loses his metal credentials. Nick loses his Prog credentials. That's just wrong.
In fairness, Revolver's right there on the BA border. The past
to me, it's on the SA border.
Yeah.
You know, depending on the day.
So this is Geoff, right?
Ooh,
okay, Past Masters Volume 2.
Ooh.
Okay.
Where's my?
So
I think we should read the track list here for maybe people that don't, or maybe go over it a little bit. But I mean, some of the songs on here are just ridiculous.
Well, do you want me to read it? It's Day
go ahead.
Day Tripper, We Can Work It Out, Paperback Writer, Rain, Lady Madonna, The Inner Light, Hey Jude, Revolution, Get Back, Don't Let Me Down.
Insane.
Woo! I mean, it's
John Yoko,
ridiculous.
Old Brown Shoe, Across the Universe, Let It Be, You Know My Name.
You know my name. I love how you sneak that one in there.
Where can you put this? And again, I think probably it's a bit, for me, it's a bit like Magical Mystery Tour in that, in the totality of it, it wasn't conceived as an album, so it's not quite that sort of flow. It's just stuff in chronological order. It's incredible stuff, right? In chronological order. I kind of have it at, it's on a BC cusp for me, but I would have it in B, because I'm more of a later period person. So to me, it's kind of the top half of the catalog is all those great songs we just talked about.
Yeah, I mean, that track listing is incredible. I mean, people got to remember, maybe people that weren't around back then or just don't know the history, that, most of their biggest songs weren't even on the actual albums. They were the singles. They would put out singles. They would write and record Day Tripper and We Work It Out and then have it out in the stores a week later. And they would write these A-sides, double A-sides, really, a lot of these songs, and a lot of people don't realize that something like Hey Jude is not actually on a traditional Beatles album. So these Past Masters collections are really critical and crucial to the catalog. And I'm glad that the two Past Masters kind of became part of the catalog. Really, you got to talk about all 15 like we are.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can't ignore, if you don't include them, I mean, all these amazing songs that are really legendary, then you don't even discuss them.
Yeah.
Revolution, Hey Jude, all this stuff. It's crazy. I mean, if they didn't make any of the albums and all they did was release these singles, it's the greatest collection of songs you've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. Can I just shout out a couple songs on this that maybe don't get as much shine as some others? Well, for one thing, this gets shine, but Paperback Writer, unreal. Don't Let Me Down, I absolutely love. We covered that as a band. Old Brown Shoe is a great kind of like lesser known song. And I love the version of Revolution that's on this versus the one that's on Let It Be. So
I love Rain.
Why not?
When Revolver came out with the box set and they have Rain as part of that session, a lot of people probably didn't realize that the song was tracked in a different key and a different tempo. So the version, the session version, almost like a Monkees kind of song or whatever. But then they slowed it down to get the real punch out of the drums and the bass. And but yeah, I mean, Hey Jude, Lady Madonna, Paperback Writer. It's incredible.
So where did everyone have this? Because I had it in A just because it's the track listing is just silly. Where did you have it?
I don't know. I probably B, I guess, simply on the principle that it's sort of like a greatest hits in a way. But yeah,
that was my philosophy. I hate to say, but for me it was a C, only because it's not a traditional album. But yeah, based on the songs themselves, obviously it should be much higher. Yeah, but yeah, something's got to go in the low tiers. So I figured,
would say, then why not Magical Mystery Tour?
Yeah.
I understand.
I got both movies.
I was consistent at least,
All right, I got help.
Help.
I love this album a lot. I like it better than A Hard Day's Night. Just some amazing songs. Night Before, it's one of my favorites. I've Just Seen a Face, which is originally on this one, which is great. Boy, this becomes tricky because let me think. What is S? We're good. I think we still have the S albums where they need to be.
I think it's pretty obvious already what's going to be an S from what's left over. But anyhow,
right.
I digest.
Same page. I digest.
Yeah. So, okay. This is probably a B album. So I don't know. Should I put it in B and maybe bump Revolver up? I think maybe I'll do that. That seems maybe the proper move, I believe. I think that may be what I'm going to do.
People will love that. You know?
I like you.
Revolver, I have to give Revolver props for it over Help. I think
Help is a better album.
I don't know about that, but I mean, you mentioned the popular ones, but I love the deep cuts, like You're Gonna Lose That Girl, and It's Only Love, and Another Girl. I mean, it's a great one.
And the movie's great. I love the movie.
Great.
I mean,
love the movie. Yeah,
amazing.
You've Got to Hide Your Love Away is on it. I mean,
great song.
It's a crazy.
The back half of the album is Yesterday.
The back half is stuff that ended up for us in America on the Beatles 6 album, I believe. Yeah, so a lot of the back half. Our American version of Help, let me pull that up. The American version of Help was very different.
Orchestral, wasn't it?
Yeah, it had a lot of a lot of The Chase and The Bitter End and Another Hard Day's Night, and in the Tyrol, like all these weird orchestral George Martin things. Even Help started with like the James Bond kind of sitar theme, and then it goes into Help. So yeah, the American.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it here. It's completely different.
From Me to You, Fantasy. Yeah. So the British version, which is now the official version, is actually way more of a complete album. The American version is almost like the Yellow Submarine soundtrack, almost. Half and half.
Yeah.
Can I just say this for the people that care what I think? If I go track listing of Help versus Revolver, I'm picking Help. I think it's a stronger album. I know, like from recording, and the influence that it had and so on, it's not on the same level. But I just want to throw that out there for me.
No, you've said that twice.
I've said it. I'll say
you've said it twice, and you're still wrong. I think.
This is John again. John at his peak. This is the end of sort of John's like height, I think. And then Paul starts to kind of come up and maybe overtakes him. You could say.
Maybe one of my favorite George Harrison songs, "I Need You."
Yeah.
That may be one of my favorite George Harrison songs.
Covered
side
by
one on it is amazing. Right?
Transatlantic covered "I Need You."
You did a double. I Need You.
We covered 2 songs called "I Need You." "I Need You" by the Beatles and "I Need You" by America.
Yeah.
We did a mashup.
We were talking about the track listings there. The one thing just relevant to some of this, the American album that I like the best is Yesterday and Today, the famous one with the Butcher cover. It's because it's Drive My Car, I'm Only Sleeping, Nowhere Man, Dr. Robert.
Yeah, it's a cross between Rubber Soul and Revolver.
Yeah, it's like it's the track, but it's got Day Tripper thrown into it. It's got the singles in there. It's a really great album. So. He's going to get it, isn't he?
He's out of here.
Well, I mean, side one of Help is flawless. That's a perfect 7 songs.
Ticket to Ride. We didn't even talk about that. There it is.
Yeah.
That's a real one?
No, I have to admit it's a bootleg. But yeah, JJ French from Twisted Sister has 2 Butcher blocks. He's got 2 originals. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm hoping
that's amazing.
I'm hoping he's going to leave me one in his will.
All right. Should we move on? All right, Mike, right?
What are we going to get? We got to get an S tier worthy album at some point, surely.
Is it going to get to
wild card? No.
Oh, let it be in there.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Well, this one's interesting. Let's see where it goes.
Well,
wow, A and B are already full. This is crazy already.
Who's this? Is this Mike?
Yeah.
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 Geez, this is tough. Well, I'll just get right to my ranking and my personal list. I have it in B. You know, it's got its flaws. I'm not crazy about the Phil Spector production. I found it interesting when they put out the Let It Be Naked version, just to have the alternates without all the Phil Spector stuff. Because it's not produced by George Martin, I think that's got a knock against it. Because actually, up until the reissued, like the whole Get Back resurgence a couple of years ago, it made me like and appreciate this album a little bit more than I had in the past. It's got, let me pull up the track listing here. It's got some classics, obviously, the ones that like Long and Winding Road, Let It Be, those are legendary. But I love Two of Us. I love Dig a Pony. Not the biggest Get Back song, not the biggest Get Back fan, believe it or not. I don't know, but it's very much a Paul album. When you watch Get Back, you see that Paul was very much running the show here. So because there's no George Martin production, because there's not a lot of John. I mean, he contributed Dig a Pony and Across the Universe. I've got a feeling it's a great one, but I don't know. Something's got to give, and therefore I have it in B. But am I going to have to bump something to get it there?
Yeah, what goes down? I mean, for you, it'd be the Past Masters. I have it in C, but
the Past Masters is such like the songs are so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an album. I get it, so it's either way.
You know what? I'm going to go against my list, and because for the sake of what is probably the right thing, I don't want to bump Past Masters, even though it's not a real album. Because of the track listing alone, if you take the track listing of Past Masters and the track listing of Let It Be, you can't even compare. So I'll have to put Let It Be in C.
Yeah.
It would have been funny to be Let It Be, because it's so I'm gonna say let it C.
It would seem on the surface controversial, but I sort of feel like it belongs there. It's sort of a uneven listen throughout. There's like an amazing song, okay song, amazing song, okay song. It's sort of like that throughout for me.
Well,
and the interesting thing, let me say one last thing about this. I did like, the fact that they were recording this live. They were getting away from all the overdubs, and Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper, was so studio experimental. This was, let's get back to playing our instruments and being a band. So because whenever Paul was on a piano, that meant that either John or George was playing bass. And I liked the fact that they were playing live as a band. And all the rooftop stuff was played live as a band. So I think that was a real important aspect of this album as well that should be mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What takes me off of it is just the different versions of it. I think it is to underscore the fact that they knew it was not a great album, and it took, Glenn Johns had his version, Martin had his version, and then obviously Phil Spector had his version. And the songs as we know them are not really, I mean, you could say the bastardizations of what they had conceptualized. And that for me takes me out of it a little bit. The documentary actually made me view this a little bit lower than how I viewed it. I love the documentary, but it just felt like they were so disheveled as a band and so disparate. I'm using like all the big words that I know, goodness, not on purpose, but it just felt like the vibe was completely off. It was Paul's thing, and he was like trying to make it work, and God bless, Paul. But I think as a whole, it's just not quite there. There's about 5 great songs. There's a few good ones, and there's some clunkers that really aren't even songs. I love it. Yeah, I mean, Maggie May, like, it's sort of throwaway stuff. One After 909, even I like it. I mean, I like everything the Beatles have ever done, pretty much, but it's just not. It's a C tier for me.
One last thing about the film. I found the Let It Be film incredibly depressing and turned me off to this album entirely.
Yeah.
I saw Let It Be in the theaters at a midnight. My grandfather took me when I was like 6 years old to a midnight movie to see it in the theaters, and I had a bootleg of it forever. But I thought once it was reissued as Get Back and the whole 8-hour movie or whatever it was, that made me appreciate how how good it wasn't. The worst times. It wasn't the worst of times. It wasn't. I mean, it had its moments.
Right.
George walked out, and it had its moments. But I came out of the Get Back movie feeling actually like seeing the love between them and how that there was really good vibes there, and it wasn't all bitter and dark and dismal like the Let It Be version was. So I actually came out of Get Back liking this album and these songs more than I had.
I think the thing I always think about it is when you know, with some of the lesser tracks on it, when you see that documentary and see what they actually had, you know, that George had a ton of really amazing stuff. A lot of stuff that ended up in Abbey Road was around, you know, John, a Child of Nature, which was, you know, became Jealous Guy, you know, and then you've got Dig It instead. And you're sort of going,
the 10-minute version with Yoko.
Yeah. And I think even, you know, the other thing that I really love in that is, I mean, I love Two of Us as it is on the album, but I love the kind of rock version that they play of it, you know, and that's when they're actually into the idea of, right, we're going to do a rock show, you know, we're going to film a concert, you know, and there's that's a brilliant song. It also becomes equally good as an acoustic-y thing, but you know, I think I would have loved to have heard the album that they'd have made if they'd stuck with a concept rather than going to the studio and doing, you know, great songs like Let It Be and Long and Winding Road and stuff like that. But I would have loved to have heard if they'd actually stuck to the concept and got, you know, made a rock show out of this. I have it in D. It's just not an album.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, I'm just amazed. I'm fascinated to see what's going to end up in D. If
I mean,
if Magical Mystery Tour is A and Let It Be is C. Wow.
Well, it's going to shift around. You know how this works. I'm just.
It's hard for me to think of something with Let It Be and Long and Winding Road and Get Back as a D album. That's sort of harsh.
I originally, it was an automatic D for me, and then I ranked it up as I listened to the other ones. So whatever.
Yeah. All right. So
that was
Mike.
me.
That was you, right? Okay, Kyle.
All right. I got to get my mustache on for the next segment.
You can start.
Hey, you might get it.
The mustache did it.
No way.
The mustache got pepper.
Oh wow, he came prepared, man.
The whole thing, man. There's no way that worked out.
It's been done before.
I know it's been done before, but I wasn't
invited. Timing is everything.
I wasn't invited to that one, so I got to make the most of it. Do you know which Beatle wears the blue? Do you know?
I have that
Ringo?
right in front of me.
No, it's Paul. Sorry.
Paul. Yeah. It was Paul. I'm a Paul guy, so I gotta have Paul. I actually in college made a shirt of my. I went to Christian school, so social club, not a fraternity, but same idea, and replaced all the heads with people from our social club. It was like the most arduous task ever. Is this the Ruddles?
That's Dirk McQuigley is in blue. This could have been in place of the Wild Card album. This is a brilliant album. I love this album. I have a sealed 8-track of the Ruddles on 8-track. Yeah.
All right. So
just get on with it already.
Well, yeah, let's get on with it. What is there to say about this album except that it's fabulous, and you know, this is the one. This is the turning point for the band. This is my favorite album cover of theirs. It's not my favorite album cover of all time. It's probably Dark Side of the Moon, but I love it, and the sound of it, the newness of it, and just the fact that it kind of starts and finishes, and it kind of acts as a sort of theater play in a way. Now, I think conceptually they could have probably done a little bit more, as you know, like they wanted it to be a story of Liverpool and all those kind of things that you can read about it. I don't know that they like fully delivered on that as a concept album, but it's a great album. It has to be in S. Yeah. I don't know where else you would put it.
I didn't.
Wow. In S?
Come on.
Song for song, I think you could make arguments.
That's insane. That's
perhaps.
That's peak Geoff right there.
It's the work and the fact that it has the Beatles' best song, the best mixture of Paul and John in A Day in the Life. I think, I don't know. For me, it's an S tier. But Geoff, I'm curious. I'm piqued. You having a weird alternate take on things this is new for me. So tell me why this is not S.
Yeah, I mean, this is controversial. I mean, it's Sergeant Pepper, right? You know, thousands and thousands of words have been written about it, and that's just about the cover, even, right? And it's an entire experience. In terms of listening to it as an album, for me, it dips at the end of side one and the start of side two. I think the greatness is at either side. I'm not a fan of Fixing a Hole. I'm not a fan of Mr. Kite.
Love it.
I don't. Sorry, and I'm talking relative, right? I'm talking relative to if I was doing my top, 100 Beatles songs, I don't think they'd be in it. I'm not massively into When I'm 64. I generally don't like that Paul sort of granny stuff.
Fair enough.
And what surrounds it on either side is amazing. But for me, I have it as the top of my A. To me, it would be number 4 in my list.
The top of my A. Sorry.
Yeah, you know what? To me, it's so great that it even withstands having one of the worst songs ever on it, which is within whatever it's called. It annoys me so much that it's in there right in the middle of this just genius album from beginning to end that I generally just always skip that song and remove it. I know some people love that side of what the experimenting, but just ruins that tiny bit for me. But yet it's still a masterpiece. I mean, I love side A's flawless to me. Even She's Leaving Home, Fixing a Hole, I love for sure. Lovely Rita's amazing. Just all of it is just
to me. Brilliant. It's kind of like, I was bored during that part of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like I don't know. It's a masterpiece. They went for it. I feel like it deserves to be an S for that reason alone.
All right. Well, let's see, Geoff. Where do you get next here?
I think again, I rank these on, it's so subjective, right? And what I have in my S tier, I tend to go for things that I like to listen to right the way through from start to finish.
I think we all know. We know your S tier. I think we know, seeing what's there and your feelings, we know your S tier. Right. And I think I know Roie and Kyle's as well. I think, yeah.
I think mine is fairly simple. Past Masters, Volume 1, the earlier collection of the hits. This is you, Geoff.
Oh, right. Okay. I mean, to me, really the same script as Volume 2, incredible iconic songs. The Place Where Love Me Do, From Me to You, She Loves You, I Want to Hold Your Hand. Even I Call Your Name is one of my favorite Beatles songs that's buried away on an EP. I Feel Fine. I'm Down, again, another B-side that's kind of really a standout track. And in my ranking, I had Volume 2 in B, and so because if I had to choose between them, I'd take Volume 2 over Volume 1. So Volume 1 is in C for me.
Okay. And how could you forget C. Liebdick?
Liebdick and Come Give Me Deine Hand.
Dear comment. Yeah.
C. Liebdick. We all remember when we first heard that.
Yeah, that's my introduction to German when I was a kid.
Amazing collection of songs, lesser so than Volume 2, so I think that's fair. But of course, Love Me Do, She Loves You Alone are just, amazing.
I had this in D just because the recording fidelity on some of those like German versions it's just clunky. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, obviously, incredible songs. Go ahead.
Talking about the mix and the production, like some of those early albums, the pre-Rubber Soul stuff, by today's standards, I'll just say this: they recently put out the Red and the Blue albums, and the Red album is a fascinating listen because even though those aren't my favorite songs, my favorite era, they've been cleaned up to the point where every instrument was isolated, pulled out, extracted, and then remixed and given its own space in the mix. So the remixes of these songs, which a lot of these can be found on the Red album, are incredible. And the Red and the Blue albums, which used to be kind of throwaways for me. Now, to me, the Red and the Blue albums are like those are the mandatory quintessential mixes now of these songs.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
So definitely worth checking those Red and Blue remixes if you haven't yet.
Yep.
That's cool. Okay, my turn.
On colored vinyl, even.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay, so what's going in D? I'm very curious.
Wild card. What do I get the wild card for?
Well,
We should have done something else.
wow.
The Ruddles.
All right,
Could
let's
have
see.
done the Ruddles.
Let's see if there's something.
We were gonna place a
Let's see.
solo album from one of the Beatles.
I know.
right?
I feel like we should have done that. I have no use for the wild card here right now, like at all.
You
Yeah,
can you hold it for later? Maybe we can do that. Like it's like in Wheel of Fortune. You can like hold it for, I don't know. Isn't that
Get
a
out
thing?
of jail free card.
Just hold it. Do whatever you want, and you can use it next time. I don't know. Who cares?
You write the rules.
This is your show.
No, I don't know. I mean, do you guys see anything that's
Yes,
arguable?
I'll take
Obviously,
it.
not you, Jeff. we give it to you. It'd be a disaster. No.
I think everything's looking good right now. You know,
everything's looking pretty
Yeah.
good.
We've done a
So
good.
that's fine. All right, we'll move on. Mike.
Jeff hates
skip.
that Magical Mystery Tour has been given lift. I'm just here to right the wrongs of history. So, who's up now?
me.
Mike
With
the Beatles.
I know this is going to be blasphemy, but
I don't think so. Yeah.
I mean, look, you got to work with what you got here. Something's going to go at the bottom. This is like when I did the Wheel of Opeth with you guys. Every one of my spins was all my D's. At least, thank God, we get to at least to talk about all the albums as they go. So unfortunately, with the Beatles, classic album, legendary album, breakthrough album, but it's a D for me. Just given where it stands in comparison to everything else. I always prefer the later Beatles to the earlier Beatles. Plus, so many cover songs on this album as well. So just for those reasons alone, I have to put it in D, which is crazy, but something's
really
gotta
just
go there.
all my loving is the one song that I always really liked from it. I mean, I don't really love much else on it, really.
It Won't Be Long is fantastic.
Yeah.
But there's so many covers, 6 covers on it. You know.
Yeah. The more memorable part about it is the cover, right? I mean, that's been covered by everyone, that version, that album cover.
Yeah. Think of the album covers that have done that album cover. I think Van Halen OU812.
OU812.
Queen 2.
That's
God.
For AI.
Kiss. Kiss
First
did
Kiss album.
First Kiss album.
Yeah,
Echo
there's others.
promo photo. I mean, it's just sweet to pull up, you know.
Isn't there's a Utopia album? Isn't there a Todd Rundgren Utopia album?
Oh well, they did Deface the Music,
but I think it has a parody cover.
It's a parody of this, but for those of you that don't know, Utopia did this great album called Deface the Music, and it was all original songs written in the Beatles style, kind of like the way the Ruddles is.
Yeah.
And the cover of that is a parody of with the Beatles.
Yeah.
Right.
Apparently, there's a Guar reissue that uses this album cover, so I just want to throw Guar out there.
Really?
Wheel of Guar.
Why not?
I think you can throw them out safely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right. So it's back around to me, right?
4 interesting albums to round this out.
I have to bring out my bass guitar.
You get all the best albums.
Wow, Kyle.
Got the Hofner.
This always works out this way.
Man, I love.
Kyle's getting all my favorites, and I'm getting all my least favorites.
All the best albums. Yeah.
I got a Hofner upstairs as well.
Mine's real.
Yeah. Bring your Hofner to work day.
I was playing that in church last night. Actually. So there you go.
Mine's strung as a lefty though.
So, Jeff, pull out the photo of us on Abbey Road. You know, we've all done it. I've done it twice. I was barefoot once, but I was overweight. So let's not release the photo. Abbey Road, my favorite Beatles album. It is, when people ask me what's your favorite album of all time, I say Abbey Road. Jeff sent me a book, actually, a Solid State, about the different mixing board, I guess you'd say, that they used at EMI, which became Abbey Road Studios, of course. And that's why the album sounds so much better, especially like the toms and, just the drums by and large, but gave them more tracks to work with. And this was their attempt to come back and do one final, go at this with George Martin and doing it properly. And I think anyone who's listening to this at this point, an hour and 20 minutes into this whole thing, probably knows these stories. But Abbey Road for me is their perfect album. I love both sides. Of course, I love the long one at the end of side 2. There's nothing I could say about this one that hasn't already been said, but I just absolutely adore it. My favorite album of all time. And I might cry. I love it so much.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I think maybe we all agree on it. It's just amazing. It's already up there in S, but I mean, you just we're doing track by track. I mean, everything is on this, right? It would come together like sort of their heavy metal track, almost like a hard rocker. And then you even have Here Comes the Sun on it. Those two together on it. It's just amazing. Yeah. And then the epic, I mean, Golden Slumbers, that whole ending is my favorite thing of all time. So yeah.
Carry That Weight was my ringtone for a couple of years. George, my 8-year-old George, who I named after George Harrison, he did come together at his drum clinic yesterday. So he did not play it correctly, but he did okay. He did okay.
Anyway.
I'm trying to find my photo of the board, which is this. Oh, there it is. Yeah. See that? That's the famous board. That was also, that Dark Side of the Moon was also recorded using the same board. If you look in the Pompeii stuff, there's some studio footage and it's there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So cool. That was easy enough.
We all have Abbey Road S. I have to ask. I mean,
yeah.
Surely.
Of course.
But I must mention Maxwell's Silver Hammer, which I could happily live without ever hearing again.
I like that song. I don't.
You just lived that about an hour ago.
Yeah, we thought that's what you were getting at. That something happened because of that.
I do love
it came down upon her head.
Recording that.
Well,
time on it.
We went from the sort of last recorded album to the first one. Yeah. So please me, Geoff.
Okay. So picture the scene. You have two 21-year-olds, a 20-year-old, and a 19-year-old. Who go into the studio, who record 10 songs in a day. All 4 of them sing. It's paced like a live set, really. It's about 30 minutes long. And it started everything. And this, for me, is one of the ones where it's kind of hard. It's hard for me to place it because there's so much significance tied up in it. But on the listen from start to finish test, it still blows me away. So from that perspective, I find it hard to put it, I suppose, in the bottom half of the table. But the problem is with the terrible choices that you guys have made.
You get it.
It's made it really difficult for me to put it where I want to put it, which would be in B.
B is solid.
Creative.
So, I mean, what I know what I can do. I know what I can do.
It's a very good C.
I know what I can do. Right. Okay.
Magical.
Roie, put it in B.
Okay. Oh wait.
Right.
Okay. I
think I know
what you're doing. Hold on. Wait. Wrong
album. Put it in B.
Okay. Put it in B.
And then what I want you to do is move Revolver up into S and remove.
Wait, can you do that?
And move. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
Wait, what goes before that?
I don't think you can do that.
No, you can't bump up, can
help,
you?
Sorry, bump help to A and bump Revolver to S.
You
can't bump up, can you?
Do that.
You can.
Chain reaction.
We can't do that.
We've bumped up. It doesn't matter because it's coming down.
Because I told
there's gonna be a major domino if all things go correctly.
Yeah, Mike gets to fix all the wrongs.
All right, don't worry, I'll fix it.
Either Mike or I are fixing this.
You're fixing a board.
Fixing a board. All right,
give it to me. Give it to me.
Mike gets Beatles for sale.
Unbelievable.
Mike has gotten all of it.
It's okay. I'm gonna fix things very quickly now.
Do it, Roie. Make it right.
Where's the thing? Okay. So, man, this might be my second favorite Beatles album after Abbey Road. I freaking love this record. It's just so cool. It's the one album that I think if it came out today, it sounds like it came out today. It's just amazing. It still has just the most amazing songwriting on it, and the whole flow. I mean, it's a couple of maybe ones I could have left off side 2 or disc 2, whatever you want to call it, because it's just so long. But I mean, back in USSR, Dear Prudence is just maybe one of my favorite Beatles songs ever, like a top 5 song. Helter Skelter, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, on and on. I mean, it's true. I don't need to name all the songs. So, well, Revolver had a nice run, Geoff.
There we go.
I mean, right there, if you stop there, to
Shocked.
me, those 4,
right?
If there was such thing as a top 4 S tier, that's right.
Okay,
but I believe, yeah.
I think I guess I'm just gonna put things back where they were. Yeah, that seems right.
Sorry, Geoff.
But that top 3 is the greatest top 3. That's it. It's unmatched.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, but now, of course, there is the argument, and maybe Jeff's waiting to say it. If this was a single album, it might be the greatest album ever made. Of course, the White Album, as great as it is, as beloved as it is, it does have Revolution 9 on there. It's got Wild Honey Pie and Don't Pass Me By. I mean, I like Piggies and stuff like that, but it definitely could have been 3 sides or even 2 sides, and it would have been perfection. It's got its imperfections, but it's the White Album, and it's just so yeah, look, legendary.
The thing for me about it is, right, the album is called The Beatles, right? So that gives it license to include everything that the Beatles are about. And because it's a double album, that means that, the kind of Ringo country song, the granny songs, they're all part of a whole. And to me, they don't kind of, not jar is not the right word to talk about Sgt. Pepper, but to me, it feels okay to have that whole variety of stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily, I mean, it's in my S tier. I wouldn't talk about cutting it down. Like, the other thing is, incredible packaging as well. Doesn't probably get as much recognition as Pepper does in that, but because of the cover. But I think they numbered them up to 3 million, I think, or something like that. There's the poster inside, there's the pictures inside. It's a great double album package. Really, really strong George songs, full of classics and full of little fun diversions. Which for me, they, as I say, we're fixing a whole kind of. And I know you guys love it, but in Pepper, it sort of makes me feel like I wish I wasn't there. Wish it wasn't there. Whereas,
yeah, but
I think in this album.
You don't feel
fine.
that for Wild Honey Pie or Revolution 9, or
but they're over quickly. Revolution 9, yeah, okay,
it's over quickly.
That's not over quickly.
Wild Honey Pie.
We skip it. We skip it. So a couple of things I want to say. Happiness is a Worm Gun. Such an incredible song. There's some songs in here that just make me like stop in my tracks. I also love a song like Rocky Raccoon. Like, it used to
Rocky
play
Raccoon
in Jonesboro, Arkansas, on the rock station all the time. And I was like, I love that song. Songs like that, like, it's crazy to me that a band on an album with 25 tracks or however many it is, like, that's just sort of like squeezed in there. Man, I absolutely love this album. I used to hold it against it that it was so eclectic and there were some stinkers in it. But at this point, like in my old age of 41, I just find that it's fun. And I like that they kept it all on there, and I'm thankful that they did. So there's a birthday song on it. I mean, it's sort of crazy, but got to be it.
Yeah.
I love that George has one song on each side too. He's got 4 songs. It's great. Best George output on. Although the best George ratio is the Yellow Submarine album. 2 songs on one side. Two out of the 5 songs. So Yellow Submarine's got the best George ratio.
Savoy Truffle. Didn't you do that at the cover show or something?
Yeah, well, Yellow Matter Custard did Savoy Truffle. Okay. Yeah.
And you did Happiness is a Warm Gun with
Dream
Steve Hogarth, isn't that
Dream
right?
Theater and Steve Hogarth singing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's very few Beatles songs I haven't covered yet. Between, I think, Yellow Matter Custard, I covered like 70 or 80 songs or something like that. And then, doing stuff with Neal and Transatlantic and, Dream Theater. I've covered most of the catalog at this point, even down to Think for Yourself and You Know My Name, Look Up the Number.
Yeah.
You know,
That's right.
We
Not
need
Revolution
a
number
groundswell in the comments to get another Yellow Mattercuster. We need a third show.
I would love to. It's time
for you. So just let me know.
It's overdue for sure.
All right. Well, ceremonial last spin.
Well,
or
what's it going to be?
It's sort of I don't know. You can go the easy route on this one. I think.
I
Beatles for Sale.
I don't want to spoil the party. So I mean, I think this just wrote itself. I think. Well, I'll say it's you know, it's a great album in the Help period. For us Americans, a lot of this was on Beatles 6 or Beatles 65. You know, opening with No Reply, one of my favorite bridges of all time. Babies in Black, such amazing 2-part harmony. Rock and Roll Music, 8 Days a Week. So many classics on here. Every Little Thing, I Don't Want to Spoil the Party. But something's got to give. It certainly doesn't belong in that D spot that's waiting there. So I would have to put this in my C, and I'm going to have to bump down Please Please Me. I'm sorry, Geoff. I'm sorry.
Interesting.
But I if you compare my favorite songs on this to my favorite songs on Please Please Me, I would definitely go for this period. This is more of the middle. Birds, Rickenbacker, 12-string guitars, the smoking pot at this point. It's just I take this period over Please Please Me, which, you know, of course, Please Please Me is so important, but this is I'd have to pick this as a favorite between those two. And looking at what we have there, that's almost my list, to be honest.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I like it.
I think it's I mean, I don't know if we're gonna put them in order of.
Let's do that.
I mean, the only thing I would change is, well, personally, I'd put Revolver at the top of A, but
that's fair.
I'm liking a lot the way a lot of
Abbey Road first on S. Are
For
we
me,
all in agreement there?
For me, it would be Pepper, to be honest, just because it's the Dark Side of the Moon for the Beatles. You know, it's like what, you know, I prefer The Wall to Dark Side of the Moon, but I would have to put Dark Side of the Moon first. I would probably, if I was gonna just pick something to listen to casually right now, I'd go with Abbey Road or White Album, but still Pepper is to me, it was the game changer. So for me, it has to be at 1. But
look, Mike does this for a living, but I put Abbey Road at 1 just for me. I in terms of like pound for pound, song for song, this is like, you know, it's Muhammad Ali versus Floyd Mayweather.
Well, we know Geoff feels that way, so I think
if I'm outnumbered, so be it. That's fair enough. Yeah.
We'll put Revolver at the top of A for you guys.
I'd put Rubber Soul over Magical Mystery Tour for me.
That's fair. I agree. B.
Help is the best.
Maybe Help is better. Help is better, right?
But I love Help, so.
That's
good.
And then the rest, leave it alone. I think no. This is that's
gotta be, yeah, like that.
I think we're good. That works.
Yeah.
And let's just say they did this in how many years? Like, what was the?
It's like 8 years, was it something?
Incredible.
Yeah,
they've done this in the amount of time that some bands take to make one album these days. You know, you look at Guns N' Roses or Boston or what, you know, you can ramble off a list of a million bands that take 8 years to make one album. They did that. It's absolutely mind blowing.
It's incredible.
Totally. Well, so less than 7 years. 1st of September, 4th of September 62 to 20th of August 69. Apart from I Me Mine, which they realized they needed to do a version of this, put on Let It Be because it was in the movie. 12 albums, 22 singles, 2 standalone EPs, 211 songs.
Wow. There truly is
that's from really good book. I'll plug it for Alberto, volume 1 of him as Andrew Wild's on track book. Really, really good. And what it's really good is it actually digests a lot of the stuff that's in this big, heavy technical one down into layman's terms, which is cool. And
Yes.
I do want to say, despite the fact that I've been a figure of controversy in this, actually, if you break it down into groups of 4 and 5, my order isn't that much. My actual, where I have, 4s or 5s, they're pretty much all the same albums, just in slightly different orders.
Yeah, same. I just love this band. I listen to them in some way just about every day. So my car, when it turns on, I go to work. It's on Sirius. It's on the Beatles station every time. It's the first station.
The Beatles station is the best station on Sirius, bar none.
Amazing.
It's not even
Yeah.
close.
Solo stuff. We should come back and do Beatles solo albums. There's some really, really great stuff that came out of it.
Absolutely.
They're
Well, I could do one on Paul alone. I mean, he certainly has enough albums, and we should do that. Well, Mike,
if you get a chance,
good luck on the crazy run you have coming up, man. We look forward to seeing you again somewhere on the road, guys. dreamtheater.net, I think it is, or Facebook, or wherever you can find tickets, information for everything. Go see the show if you haven't seen it yet. Of course, Parasomnia is out. Amazing album. Who doesn't have that by now? And thanks for watching. We'll see y'all again real soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, thanks for checking out the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on all our socials and progreport.com, and we'll see y'all again real soon. Thanks.